You ever just procrastinate on a recipe that you really want to make and then you finally make it and then you're like, why didn't I do this sooner? That was how I felt about this. It's Fermentation Friday. Roll the intro. Look, I think we know what yogurt is, alright? I'm not gonna give you a backstory on that. Completely unnecessary. What I didn't realize about yogurt though was that it only takes 2 ingredients and like 15 minutes of active time, then you just let it sit in a warm environment. Well, why would I make my own yogurt? What's the point of that, okay? I'll just go to the store and buy it. First off, it's cheaper. It's way cheaper if you buy the expensive yogurt that I buy, because I don't know why. Why do I do this shit? I always buy expensive ass food because I like the label, okay? I mean, sometimes it tastes really good and it's a much better product. But okay, wait. The point is, it's cheaper, it's a product that you get to control all the way through, so if you want to add a little bit of cream to it or you want to add something to steep in the milk before you actually make the yogurt, you can do that. You can control how tart or how not tart or how thick or how thin it ends up being. So it's like you control every part of the process, so it makes a big difference. You can create the perfect yogurt for you. And it's cheap.
Okay, so since we're making yogurt, let's talk about the milk we're gonna use. First things first, whole milk is the answer. Whole milk is the truth. Now, you can totally use skim milk if you want, but whole milk is my choice. Now, the next thing is whether or not it is homogenized or not. I personally think it's easier to work with homogenized milk simply because it's already blended. Cream top milk is obviously going to separate even more after this yogurt making process, so that part is up to you. Now, there's a lot of discussion about pasteurization. You know, some say, oh, well, you know, you don't use ultra pasteurized or UHT milk. And I gotta say, in my own experience, I completely disagree with that. You can absolutely use UHT milk. You can absolutely use ultra pasteurized milk, and it's totally fine. Long story short, either of these milks will work. It just is going to change the outcome a little bit depending on what milk that you use. Just make sure that you're using the best milk that you can afford. Okay, so enough of the talking. Let's move on with this recipe. This will go by pretty quickly. So you're gonna pour 1 quart or 946 milliliters of whole milk into a medium-sized saucepan and heat it over medium heat until it reaches 180 degrees Fahrenheit or 82 degrees Celsius. Now make sure that you're stirring that intermittently so it doesn't develop a skin or burn on the bottom or anything like that. It's okay if it comes up to a boil, but the degree temp that you're looking to hit is 180 Fahrenheit or 82 degrees Celsius. Now once you hit that temperature, you're gonna immediately remove it from the stove and let it cool down to 115 degrees Fahrenheit or 46 degrees Celsius. I actually did this in an ice bath just to speed up the process. You know, I'm not just gonna stand there and wait around for it, but if you wanna wait for it to come down naturally, that's fine too. Okay, so once it comes down to 115 degrees Fahrenheit or 46 degrees Celsius, you're then going to take 3.5 tablespoons or 52 grams of store-bought yogurt that has live and active cultures. Make sure to look for that on the ingredients. It should say live and active cultures. And then just take a cup of your warm mixture and mix it in with the 3.5 tablespoons or 52 grams of yogurt, just to help kind of like, it's just gonna make it easier to mix into the final product. So I like to mix that off on the side, just dilute it into a little bit of the milk. And then I pour that yogurt mixture back into our warm milk mixture. Give it a good stir, but don't vigorously stir it. You just wanna kind of like get it distributed and then immediately stop. Now let me just make a quick point here. Temperature is very, very important here, so you don't want to go above or below that 115 mark. Keep it at 115. It's obviously going to cool a little bit naturally due to the exposure of the air, so if it drops to 110, it should be fine, but if it goes below that, you could risk either not activating the cultures, or if it goes too high, it could even kill the cultures, so temperature is very important. Then just take that mixture and pour it into 2 pint-sized jars, lightly cover with a lid, and place in a warm area that's about 110 to 115 degrees Fahrenheit, or 43 to 46 degrees Celsius. Now, obviously, I used my fermentation station because it does that. I'm just a reminder, I'm not sponsored by these guys. I just really love this device. If you want to get one, there will be a link in the description for it. But if you don't want to do that, you can also absolutely take towels and lightly wrap these guys, place them in your oven and turn the light on and forget about them. These are super resilient and very forgiving, so it's okay if the temp fluctuates a little bit, and that's sort of like a makeshift incubator for your yogurt. You can also buy yogurt machines online and all that jazz, but those are the 2 methods that I would recommend. Then you'll just let them sit at that temperature for 6 to 12 hours. The longer you let them sit, the more sour and the more thick that it's gonna be. But here's another thing that you could do. So once it comes out, if you usually eat Greek yogurt, you may notice that this is a little thinner, and that is because it's not strained. So if you wanna make this into Greek yogurt, then simply just take a chinois or a strainer or a mesh strainer, line it with cheesecloth, Pour your finished yogurt out immediately. As soon as it's done incubating, you can then strain it. You're gonna pour it through that and just let it sit and drip drain for 1 hour in the refrigerator. And then you've got Greek yogurt. This is really a twofer, you know? You've got regular yogurt and you've got Greek yogurt. It really is that easy. And that's it. You've got your own homemade Greek yogurt. But you know what you really need? BRoll.
Alright guys, and that is it. Homemade yogurt, it's milk and it's a little bit of yogurt from the store mixed together, and you have your own cultures to thrive off of forever. I'm a big fan of taking pride in making things yourself, obviously making my own bread, and I'm working on making some beer, just a little secret. This to me was like a perfect thing to make in that category because it's so easy to make. And it's cool to have control over that process because I don't like super tart yogurt. Cashew milk, which I haven't tried yet, but supposedly that works. I would imagine it would be a lot thinner if you used a nut milk. God, what an awful word. What an awful word.
Nut milk.
Can we do something else? Tree nut milk. No, that's bad too. You know, that's just we're gonna end it here, all right? We're ending it here. This is the debate for the comments section. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video or you learned something, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you next week.